And that's really what happened in the 400-meter final at the Olympics. What's good, y'all? It's your favorite speed coach, Fred Marbury, and you are watching The Marvelous World. Today, we're going to break down a race that you guys really like from this summer. A lot of people have been talking about it. We're going to break down what actually happened. We're going to talk about how Quincy Hall really dug deep to capture that 400-meter title at the Olympics.
I know y'all watched the Olympics. But did you watch it the way that we're about to break it down? The first thing that I noticed is just power. Like, power, but he's got turnover too. If you see it,
he's in the zone, he's reading the quarterback's eyes. He can play the run and play the pass at the same time.
I think that he's a guy that can go 9-7, possibly low 9-7s as well. This time that you see here, 45-19, it'll be 44-19 by the end of the season if he really can do that, right?
Now, Quincy Hall has for the longest time been one of the grittiest, one of the grimiest, like one of the hardest working sprinters. Started off in the 400-meter hurdles when we was in college. He really was that guy in the 400-meter hurdles. You really could not stop him. You really, if you were close to him, if he was close to you at the end of a race, you did not want to be close to him because he was going to catch you. And a lot of 400-meter hurdlers have the capability to be pretty good in the 400. If you can run 47 over 400-meter hurdles, you can at least run 46 over 400 without the hurdles, right? Which really means you probably should be able to run 45. And if you're elite, if you're meant to be in that 4, you probably could run 44. And then after that, is really just how bad do you want it? How can you really go 43? Are you really that smooth? Can you hold a 10 to 11 second 100 2 or 3 times in a row, right? Then that fourth 100, can you do it again? Like, that's the type of athleticism and heart and training that you have to be able to do what Quincy Hall did just off rip. We know that when we watched the race, everyone got out pretty much as hard as they could. This first 200, they were sprinting, staying open, of course, but you can see the cadence. It was a little bit too fast for Quincy. You see Quincy in lane 7. You see Richards from Trinidad and Tobago. Them boys was moving so fast that I don't think that Quincy was ready for them getting out that fast. And he said in the interview that he was ready, but at the same time, he did hold off just enough to be able to get them at the end. Now, he did not mean to do that on purpose. I know that some people will say to y'all that, like, they held off on purpose. Like, they knew that everyone's going to get out hard. They knew that it was going to be challenging. And that's not always a part of the plan, okay? Because you can see in his face, this man is, I'm going to pause it when they turn to it. You can see it. Do you see his face right now? These gentlemen look like they did this on purpose. Purposeful. Michael Norman even got out hard, even though he didn't finish his best. But they all look more relaxed than this gentleman right here, okay? And Quincy's the one who won the race. So sometimes in a race, even though Quincy didn't tell y'all in the interviews and all that, but sometimes as an athlete, you're going to get surprised in a race and you're going to have to respond. And you train for that. You train to, when you're in the midst of a workout and you're tired and you're not really sure what's going to happen next, what your coach is going to say you got to run next, you just mentally, whatever it is, I'm going to be ready and I'm going to respond. This was a response moment for Quincy because he was not expecting the race to get away from him so much in the first 2. No one does. So the fact that he was able to keep his composure, right? That's the key. Keep his composure. This was not calculated, okay? So watching the way that he's running now, he's thinking, okay, I gotta go now. I gotta stay patient, but I gotta go because these dudes is on me. He's in 4th place coming around this curve. Now, the one thing that I will say, right, this is a 5-meter gap. And these dudes are rolling. They're rolling right now. You notice at the end of the race, all 3 of them get tight. And these 2 overtake Jareem and Karani for those first 2 spots, along with Michael Hudson Smith, who kind of he didn't decelerate too fast. They didn't hold back to do that. The race was taken out so fast that they still had to run a solid race for that last 200 and that last 100 meters. The thing that got these guys up here is that They basically ran an all-out 300. We're looking at 31.4, having crossed the 300 line. This is the 100 start line here. Crossed the 300 mark. This is 31.4, right? So just putting this in perspective, these guys all ran 43, right? So that means 12 seconds or less to the finish line. 12 seconds, maybe 13, but 12 seconds. Now, putting that in perspective, anybody can run a 12-second 100 for the most part. I mean, if you're a professional athlete as a male, if you were fresh, you could run 12-second 100. Can you run it after having run all out for the last 31 seconds? That is the key. And this type of thing goes to training. Who has put themselves in training in a position where they have run all out for the majority of the practice or the majority of multiple reps, and then put themselves in a situation where they have to go and sprint 12 seconds or 11 seconds at the end of the workout? Anybody can do it fresh at the end of the workout. Those types of workouts, or as a speed coach and a track coach, are the things that you want to put your athletes through for them to be able to make it through a race like this. This is the type of preparation that will show in the last 100 meters. This is the reason why Quincy was able to catch these gentlemen, because most likely his training consists of something like that. Can't say for sure, but the other thing is, this view is perfect to show you who locks up and who stays open. When I say stay open, I mean full range of motion. Full range of motion. If you stay open, you will get full range of motion and your hips will be launched down the track further. Versus when you tighten up and your range of motion shortens, then the amount of space or the amount of ground that you can cover moving forward also shortens, right? So you can really see here, if we slow this down, so I don't want to slow the whole race down, but if we just slow this key portion of the race down, this kind of shows you who stayed open. And obviously we know Quincy did, but just look how much further his hips are traveling. Every step, one of his steps are two of their steps. One of his steps, two of their steps. Even Matthew Hudson Smith at the end, right? So Samuel Conga and Quincy at the end of that race really managed to stay relaxed, though they were in last place, or not last place, but though they were further behind these other guys. They managed to stay open, knowing that they're going to have to make up this ground. They knew they could not tighten up or else they wouldn't happen, right? So they're more likely to stay open, knowing that, hey, I got to catch these dudes. And as you get closer and closer, you think, man, I'm getting closer. Let me keep going. Let me keep going. Let me stay open, stay open, stay open. So you can see Samuel Conga and Quincy, though their faces are tensed up, their bodies relaxed. Everybody else's faces are relaxed, bodies tense. Duh. Right? Now, let's look at the winning time, 43:40. Remember what that time was at the 300 mark, where they had ran 31:4. 43:4 was the finishing time, 31:4 was what they were at the 300. So putting that in perspective, Quincy essentially ran 12 seconds to the finish line. Mind you, he ran faster than 12 seconds because those gentlemen were at 31:4 when they crossed those first three. Hudson Smith, Jareem, and Karani James all were at 31:4 or faster past the 300 mark. Basically, Quincy was able to run faster than 12 seconds because his finishing time was 43:4. He was able to run 11 seconds to get them at the finish. So like I said, it's the type of training that you're doing. What kind of practices are you putting together? If you're a coach or if you're an athlete, what kind of practices are you putting together to be able to do amazing things on the track? Because it's one thing to just go to practice and just run a couple of reps and be done. It's another thing to be thinking about the situations that you're going to be put in the race, whether it's a relay or individual event or whatever sport that you play. Putting yourself in those situations and preparing for them puts you in the mind frame to when you get gapped in a race or if something wrong happens in a game, you're prepared, you know exactly what to do. Your coaches prepared you mentally, you're ready to trust your training and put that on the track, on the field, wherever you plan to do crazy stuff. And that's really what happened in the 400 meter final at the Olympics. These guys that lost to Quincy Hall, by no means are they slouches. Because if you watch the race, we had 3 or 4 people that came out running 43 under 44, right? We have to put in perspective how special this 400 meter final really was. We have a 200 meter runner, and my brother from Trinidad and Tobago went from the 200 to the 400 this year and ran 43 in this final, right? Got 4th place. Had a British guy who I never even heard of. Maybe that's my fault, but he ran 43 and was looking like he was going to win the race. We had a guy from Zimbabwe who his story is crazy. Came from nothing, from what his coach said in one of these interviews that I watched recently, to get 3rd at the Olympics, right? And then we have Quincy Hall. We've known Quincy for a long time, at least I have, as far as when I got into the track scene in college and when he was there. I think he was a year after me or so. You know, watching him develop as a 400 meter hurdler, being a part of those South Carolina 4x4 teams and watching them kind of really take that program up, to then watching Quincy Hall go from a 400 meter hurdler as a pro to now this year having stepped out as a 400 meter runner has really been special to watch. So, y'all like the breakdown, keep watching the other videos. Let me know what else y'all want me to break down. I'm gonna keep making the vids. Y'all keep liking them, sharing. We're gonna keep this going. All right? Love y'all. Peace.